Yeah. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Cloudy County. It is, I think, April of 2026, and this is our land grant themed fictitious county. Cloudy County is not really a county, but it is to us in our hearts. And we try to model what we do after what you do in extension. And so we try to learn new things and then take those new things and extend them out to you so that you can do cool new stuff at work. Joe and I, well, first of all, I'm Dewayne. I'm a cloud solution architect with Microsoft. I used to work for a land grant university for a long time with my buddy here, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, I'm Joe Gasper, Systems Administrator here at the University of Florida. And definitely excited to hopefully see some of you soon. I know registration opened up recently for NETSI, so conference coming up. But glad you're here.
Yeah, National Extension Technology Conference. I was going through my memories, and my first one was 10 years ago. So 2026 would be my, I don't know, 10-year anniversary, if you want to call it that, of NETSI. So super excited. Hopefully get to be a part of it. Well, this is being recorded, but anyway, I went ahead and blocked my calendar off. I'll just take vacation. So I'm gonna figure out a way. We'll make this happen. It's only gonna be an hour away from me, so I'm gonna have to make the drive. But anyway, yeah, we like to talk about Microsoft 365 technologies. There's this thing that's been kind of popular in the Microsoft circles the last couple of years called Copilot. You may have heard of it. We try to be very aware of what Joe and I would call Copilot fatigue. Sometimes we can talk about it too much. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it's changing,
A lot of
like
churn.
100 times a month. So, so we never run out of reasons or things to say about what's going on with Copilot. But we do try to focus on Microsoft 365 stuff. So, Joe did a session last month. I was unfortunately traveling, so I left him by himself. So I'm gonna try to make it up to him this month. But I was in Seattle. I hopped on my phone for a second. Um, but the way the call normally goes is we cover what's new. So there's always changes, there's always updates, not all Copilot, just in general. And then we're going to do a feature highlight, which today, if you saw in the title of the meeting, is there are some new agents in Copilot, and those agents are going to be very useful to you for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and they are related to a change that will impact all of you on April the 15th. So there's your teaser. We're going to talk about that at about halfway through. But Joe likes to read everything and then digest it all, put it all into like a little update for you about here's some cool new stuff you should pay attention to. So, Joe, I'll shut up and do your thing, man.
Now, please keep talking. Join in here. So first thing we're going to talk about, which comes up kind of often. Did we see any on this call?
I didn't even check. This
Yeah,
this community
it's doing well, doing
is,
great.
yeah, y'all are doing great. Nobody brought a rogue AI bot to this call. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So there's a new update and making it easier to identify these external bots when they join your meeting. So what are those? Those are there's some tools out there that will work through the transcript, perhaps of a meeting, and summarize that for you. But a lot of times, what those tools are also doing is behind the scenes scraping the entire list of attendees, sending them an email, kind of like a virus, um, trying to get them to sign up and use those tools also. And sometimes that information you're talking about maybe isn't something that you wanted to spread outside of your tenant, outside of your organization. Um, so it might not be through a service that your corporation or your institution is officially has a license with and an agreement to secure that data. So being able to kind of see and discover those and ensure they're not getting access to the transcript and summarizing that information. Detecting that is a nice feature coming.
Not even access to the transcript. They make their own. regardless of if
That's
you
true. Yeah.
allowed recording or not, they record anyway. And then they take everything you said and feed it to an AI thing that you may or may not have an agreement with, like Joe was saying. So these things are they're problematic. If they weren't problematic, Microsoft wouldn't have made this feature that allows you to figure out who they are and basically put them in like a little jail in Teams.
This is coming next month potentially. If you're in a targeted release, some of you might be in that, but certainly middle of the summer here, we're going to start having that available to us. And again, just it was an opportunity to talk about this and bring this up because this often is troublesome. We've seen across different organizations. Another one that is getting ready to get released, briefly mentioned before, some information around SharePoint. SharePoint hit 25 years of service, and there's significant changes coming with the interface and a bunch of services built on top of SharePoint. SharePoint itself is getting easier to roll out workflows, significant number of new templates when you're creating a SharePoint page or a communication site. Using SharePoint as your intranet experience continues, for what I've seen, to grow and grow through a lot of these changes that are coming. The homepage is one that is getting close to having our experience change on us. Used to seeing something like this right now. This is the SharePoint homepage you can get from the app, your app launcher. And mostly is going to just usually just tracking the sites that you've been recently viewing or ones that you favorited. That is changing to a new experience. So that's what I have here running in feature preview. Your homepage to SharePoint app, going to get access to files that you've been working on recently. Recent sites that you're familiar with still is going to be available, things that you've favorited, maybe some updates from people that you've been working with, all on this homepage. So if you land on the SharePoint homepage, it's going to be, I think, much more useful. You get an overview of sites. If there's any news, like a news post being published, you need to get some demos in here, but a news post being published in a site that you're a member of, people, favorites, things that you might want to have recently accessed. And again, your favorite sites and recent sites, but also making it quick and easy to be that creator and publish pages, news posts, all from one location now. You can just start a page, decide where you want to create it, and walk through a nice wizard to get that going. And building sites, all these things you can do inside of SharePoint, they're making it easier to discover the ability to do that. Lists, love to be able to create lists, entire sites, and new document libraries, perhaps. So one nice view in there. Of course, OneDrive is going to drop in there and be accessible in this way too. So looking forward to that. Talk on this briefly. It's potentially a little nerdy, but with the talk that we have given previously on Copilot chat agents, this might be helpful in that. If some of you are continuing to go down that route and making your own Copilot chat agents, this kind of tool and this concept might be helpful to you. Markdown files. So markdown files are a special type of text file. So it's just a text file. You can open it up in Notepad and create them in Notepad, but they're designed in a way that is easy to view concepts around headers, things that are bold, but you can do that in a markdown file. And when you view a markdown file in a viewer of a markdown file, you'll have headings, you'll have numbered lists, but it's a very simplified way to generate what you might have maybe traditionally done in a big Word file or an HTML file. And what makes these nice to work with in Copilot chat, when you're working with AI, is it gives your text that you're going to feed into perhaps the instructions of a Copilot agent a set of information that is simplified but structured in a way that the least amount of information has to be processed by these AI agents, but there's enough there for it to fully understand. So let me show you examples. One example real quick of a file like this. This is a markdown file. I'm going to open it up with a just notepad. And this is what it looks like in Notepad. I've got the concept of bullets. I've got some numbered bullets. I've got what's the concept here is a heading. But this is a Notepad. There's viewers and editors that will understand that and give you more of a what you see is what you get view. Because we don't have this yet in OneDrive and SharePoint, here's an example. So there's that same file in a markdown viewer. It looks good. I've got these headings. I can do things that are bold, different types of bullets. I can do hyperlinks, all of that in there. But if I want to view the source code, you can see that is what it kind of looks like. So instead of writing HTML or HTML files or working with that where you're going to end up with a lot more content inside of your files. This is one way that you can kind of reduce that, still have structure to your documents, and feed that often as your instruction set into AI tools. I've got, back when we did these agents, I think I walked through one of them with respect to, I think I did one for Penn State perhaps, but I've kind of been cataloging these, some of these agents that, get a copy here. And you can go there and kind of check out what some additional markdown looks like for some of these chat agent templates if you want. Especially if you like some Star Trek going on there. So
there will never be in one of these meetings without Star Trek in it, I'm sure.
So private channels is getting some increased limits in teams. Used to have 30 private channels in a team. That's moving to 1,000. What we expect from our rest of our set of channels, and trying to make these private channels not be so different from now what we get also as a shared channel. So improving some of the capabilities of private channels to match shared channels too. These are coming out. So the number of channels, number of members, and this one is really nice, is scheduling meetings in those channels. So that is on its way. I think that it's been delayed a few times. Somewhere here, I missed it, but
coming soon. Just say coming soon.
Yeah. It's March. There's a migration period, and then they're going to bring in the scheduling capabilities. And here, I think right in there. So sometime here, we should be seeing this soon. Meeting scheduling hopefully limits should be sometime. Who knows? Next day or two. And file and folder sharing, and the way that you go into your OneDrive, be it on your Windows Explorer on your computer or Finder on a Mac, or in OneDrive in your browser, the sharing experience is changing, and the rollout is supposed to start this month. This has been started to be talked about a year ago. And the concept and the terminology we've been hearing a bit about this is a hero link. Hero as in, one link to rule them all. And there's let's see, we've got some views to what this is going to look like for us. The goal is to reduce the number of clicks to get through to find who you've shared something with. And there's always been this additional advanced managed access, or I'm trying to look and go into the old school SharePoint view of permissions. this is getting modernized, simplified, easier to see what really is going on with your shared files. And also what's nice is the ability to, on the fly, change the permissions to an existing link that you've shared out. Previously, you might have shared a file, last month, this with one person or 5 people in an email. Then you end up sharing it again, and you needed a greater number of people to have access to it, maybe your entire organization. You end up usually generating another share link. And there's these multiple links. Well, once you share something with your entire org, do you need those individual links still, those individual shares still out there? So going to be the ability to kind of change that on the fly, update that, and have your end users not have to keep getting new share links and things like that. So yeah, this will affect sharing throughout OneDrive, SharePoint, wherever those files are at in the cloud.
I mean, I don't know. I should do better, but I end up with documents with like redundant overlapping links all the dang time. I already have this and it has made my life better. So I can confirm this is a lot more straightforward.
Yeah.
Make a link, figure out what you want people to be able to do, and then just copy the same link every time. And it is fantastic.
And they're bringing some extra tagging, so easier to see if you've shared outside your org. So a little bit better on some security options and visibility there. So be able to do that. Let's see. Go in here. There's some licensing changes, and these supposedly have hit April 1st. So we're beyond this step. Some changes to really what we want to talk about here is changes around things that used to be only in Teams Premium have been pushed down into Teams Enterprise, the tools that we have access to. And a lot of it is around meetings, town halls, things like that. So we've got chat now in town halls. We've got reactions coming to town halls and webinars that you used to in our standard, like a meeting like this, standalone meetings, private meetings. And the move to 3,000 attendees is a significant change that is going to allow interactivity at that level. And one thing that is changing that probably doesn't affect too many of us, it'd be great to see if there's anyone out there, is are you doing meetings, beyond 3,000? Have you had attendees like that? If you are, that's still going to be supported. There's just going to be what they're calling attendee pack licenses in that case to move that pack, move that cap back up. And again, can still approach 100,000. Those are just significant, massive meetings, and probably not too many in our orgs are using and hitting that level. So I think these changes, these benefits of getting some extra features coming in to our standard Teams licenses and 3,000 attendees in our webinars and town halls. That's a nice trade-off, I would say.
This is all
affected by this.
This is all good, in my opinion. But
yeah, I don't think most people are going to be affected negatively.
There's nothing being like taken in this update. Like who here wants to run a meeting with 5,000 people on it that can talk back to you? Like, I don't. I would much rather that be like a big stream, right? You'll still be able to do that. But if you want interactive events at that scale, yeah, but the trade-off of getting like some of the premium bits that used to require a Teams Premium license now being included in what they just call Teams Enterprise, which is what you all have, that's really cool. So there's like some production features, managing what people can see on the screen, queuing up people and sending them live like you're a TV producer. Like there's some pretty interesting stuff that will be possible. So when it's rolling out, it's going to take a little while for the whole interface and all that stuff to happen, but I think this is a good thing.
Um, this is something I've not tried to even look at yet, is this immersive event. So
Not an EDU. Yeah.
yeah, no, not an EDU. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's important to call out then. Thanks, Dewayne.
Moving on.
That's why. So let's then look at um, another change that I'm seeing now in a standard Copilot basic licensed user, which should be most people in education. Copilot is going to be able to, Copilot chat's going to look against your inbox now and reason over your inbox, your calendar, not just a file, I'm sorry, not just an email that you have open, but the rest of your mailbox. That is, I've got an account here that is open up. This is just a non-licensed user, and see if we can put it through a little test here real quick of looking across this this mailbox. This is something that hopefully, if you have a chance to try, are you seeing this capability right now in your Outlook? It'd be great to see if you want to check that out. This should be starting to hit.
This is
Earlier this week, a few other people I pinged started to see it, so I'm curious
yeah.
if you're on the call. It'd be great.
This is major, major. I know our focus for like feature highlight today is a part of agents, right? Word, Excel, and PowerPoint agents, but this is happening at the same time as a part of the bigger change that's happening to Copilot. Um Copilot Basic to be more specific. So that's the free one. Um, this is pretty wild. So this is something that would have kind of required a license previously, like the premium license. But being able to ask questions in Outlook about your email and your calendar, like, can you imagine, hey, look at my calendar for tomorrow and tell me what I've got going on and help me prep for my calls, and give me a summary of each meeting. And are there any outstanding actions? Sorry, I lagged out, but I'll pull up a site that has from our support documentation that has like things that you could try with Copilot Chat and Outlook, and you'll see some of the example prompts that you could say, which is, like, when's my next one-on-one with this person? Schedule a meeting, help me do that. Summarize my emails from last week. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm excited. I am not seeing this in any of my demo environments yet, so I'm glad Joe is. Jean-Luc Picard, of course, most important, famous captain ever, should have it before others. So I'm glad he has it.
So yeah, this you'll just be able to trigger that through the Copilot icon and open that up. I don't know of a difference what to look for other than trying the prompts.
Yeah, I was under the impression that there was supposed to be some sort of tooltip, like in-app nudge to say, hey, you can try this now. So that's what I've been looking for every single day with multiple accounts as I just obsessively try to figure out if I have this in any of my demo accounts yet, but I don't. So
yeah, gotcha.
So just try it. I would say everybody here, open up Outlook on the web or new Outlook for right now, just to be safe. And then just say, summarize my unread email. Just that simple. Summarize my unread email and see if it does it. If it tells you, sure, I can do that, you have to copy and paste all your email into your prompt, then the feature isn't live for you yet. But if it does, then hey, it's pretty good. And I do, for the question in the chat around like new Outlook versus classic Outlook, or old busted versus new hotness is how I like to describe classic and new, Men in Black reference. So you got Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, and Men in Black all in one in one show. I think they're both going to be supported for this. So that's
Definitely.
my understanding.
Yeah, I'll pull up, open up old Outlook here, maybe after this call, and let you know here in chat how that looks.
New Outlook always gets like the new stuff first. So
yeah, that will probably be a call later in the year. There's maybe some changes around defaults for Outlook.
There's some good questions in the chat to take real quick too. This is not going to move mail around. It will help you understand the mail or help you maybe create a rule to move it, but it won't take action against your mailbox. It can't send email for you. I don't think you want that. It's more help me get a grip on the 979 unread emails that I have. It can help you triage that. You do have to be realistic in what you ask it to do. You would not be able to say, summarize my 979 unread emails. Like there are technical limitations to how much an AI can take at the same time. So you do have to be specific, like a time frame is a really good way to box in what you want Copilot to look at. So like, look at my unread email for this week. That would be a good approach to kind of narrow down the scope of what you're asking it to look for, and you'll probably be a lot more successful with that. But yeah, this is one of the biggest updates of the year, for sure.
Well, that kind of leads us into, Dwayne,
the other
deeper
big
dive
update of the year.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I am the messenger. Okay. Just the messenger. This is the language that I am allowed to use. And this is what was distributed to administrators all over the world of some changes that will be happening on April 15th for users who do not have a paid Copilot license. So the first thing that I want to point out is down here at the bottom, it says there are no changes for users with an M365 Copilot license. This is not all bad. This is just change management. This is your cheese is being moved. That's all. Overall, the things that are replacing what is being taken away are arguably better, in my opinion. And I have tested it, and I think Joe would agree with that. In late 2025, the Copilot icon showed up in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote for everybody, regardless of if you had a Copilot license or not. That actually caused a lot of confusion. I work with people all over the country all the time, and a very common question is, how do I know if I have a license? They couldn't even tell. They had no idea. And that led to situations where people thought they had a Copilot license and they asked it to do something because the icon was there, and it was like, no, I can't do that. Or even worse, it would hallucinate and say, sure, I just did it, but it didn't actually do anything. And that led to like, well, Copilot sucks, I'm moving on. That was a problem. There was no clear, distinguishable line between do I have a license or not. And so what is happening on April 15th is the icons for Copilot are being removed from Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote for people who do not have the add-on Copilot license, also now known as Premium. So some new terminology that I think we've hinted at in the past is what you get by default just because you've got a Microsoft subscription, so everybody here is associated with a university that has one, is called Copilot Chat Basic. Everybody gets that. Staff, students, faculty, everybody. What you pay for, if you want extra capabilities and you want very direct access to like all your work stuff across all interfaces and all applications, and you want all the like creation stuff that you can do and agents that you can make that do fancy things, you would get M365 Copilot, also known as Premium. And I think that's what's already been kind of done in the past with like you could have Teams, which is included, or you could have Teams Premium, which implied you paid for added capabilities that did more stuff. So same concept with Copilot. And this from Dewayne and Joe is not a, hey, everybody go out and buy Copilot Premium. That's not what we're saying. There are replacements being delivered right now for the loss of the Copilot icon in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So to mock this up for you, I have Beverly, who is, whoops, let's open up. Bacon is amazing, the science of bacon, and demo classes. So you can see here on Beverly's screen that she is missing the Copilot icon on her ribbon. There's a little empty spot right there where it normally would be. So it's gone for her. So if she were to say, hey, I really wanted to use Copilot with this Excel document so I could understand it or have it help me write a formula, what in the world am I going to do now? Well, here's the spin. The good news is all of your time is now spent here in this application. If I wanted to attach that Excel document to Copilot and ask it questions about it, I just use this little plus sign and I say add work content and find it. You know, there it is, demo classes. I just opened it a second ago. And now I could have it help me understand that data, do some analysis of that data. You can attach several files to your prompt. So let's try. I don't even know what the limit is anymore. So I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so it's 3. So you can attach 3 files at one time to each prompt. So you could just say, hey, Copilot, I'm going to feed you 3 files. I want you to take them, hold on to them, and then wait for my next prompt. Attach 3 files. And then attach 3 more. And then attach 3 more. So that would work. That would work just fine. And then you could ask it, you know, find the differences between these 2 contracts or quotes, proposals, receipts, whatever. Help me analyze this Excel spreadsheet. Take a look at this PowerPoint presentation and tell me if there's any improvements I could make around accessibility. Those are all things that you can still do. And now you do them in one particular application. So I'll pivot back over to the admin. Like I'm just leaving this up on the screen because like I said, this is the official language of what's happening. And since this is going on YouTube, I am going to stick to the script of the official language. Now, what about making stuff? You know, I want to make a PowerPoint. I want to make a Word document. I want to make a dashboard in Excel. Well, there's some new stuff that you get. And that was the title of today's call. And they are called the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint agents. Now, by default, you have to find them. They're not going to show up anywhere automatically unless your admins do some configuration, which when I work with customers, I advise them, the admins, I'm like, hey, to make to make April 15th a little easier on everybody, my advice is go ahead and push out these new agents for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and just tell people what you used to do in Excel, you can now do talking to this agent about Excel. But if they don't do that, then you have to go find them. And so the way you would do that is on the left-hand side of your Copilot app, you'll see it says all agents. So you're going to click on that. And then you're just going to type in Word and you're going to click on it. And then you're going to add it. And then you're going to type in Excel and you're going to click on it and then you're going to add it. After you do that, they'll show up in a couple of different places. First of all, they'll show up under this new little menu that you see right here. So plus, compose, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So that's how you could get to them directly in line of whatever it is you're doing with your prompt. The other thing that you could do is you could pin them. So I'm also telling people, customers I work with, to go ahead and proactively pin them for all users. So you can see here, like it's grayed out. I can't unpin it, like it's stuck. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and then you just click on it and you talk to it. And you'll get some suggested prompts down here. You can still attach files, but here's the deal. You talk to this agent when your objective is to produce a Word document. You talk to the PowerPoint agent when your objective is to produce a PowerPoint presentation. And if we're being honest with all of ourselves, these are things that you couldn't do before anyway. So this is a net new capability that's actually really good. And the cool, like, secret sauce here is there's another company that makes AI models. You've probably heard of them, called Anthropic. They have a very popular series of models that are under the name Claude. That's what this is using to create Office files. And Claude, Sonnet is one of the models, does a very good job of creating Office documents. We've shown in the past how you can go up to the top and you can turn on, like, GPT 5.3 or 5.4, and you can ask it to create an Excel or a PowerPoint for you. And it does do a good job. Joe's actually done that live on recording, shown side-by-side outputs, and they progressively get better. But man, if you want to make a PowerPoint presentation that you feel like you could actually present to somebody and walk into a boardroom or a customer or something, like, this thing does a really good job. So first thing I want to do is I want all of you, again, go into the Copilot app, search for these agents and tell me, can you find them? Like, do you see them? Because this just showed up, I think, what did I tell you, Joe? Was it last week or the week before? Something like that.
Maybe last week. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have just been last week.
Yeah.
It's relatively recent, and the way changes get pushed out, like, it takes some time for stuff to show up for everybody. But if you go to all agents and just search Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, find them, do me a favor and add them, and then try them. Like, just see what happens. And I'm going to give you an example of a way that this flows, I think, pretty well. So this is kind of a new way of working, and I think it could be fun. So again, no license. This is a user with basic. This is not a premium user. As a premium user, as I already demonstrated, you can attach a file to your prompt. So I could attach "Bacon is amazing" facts. Like, that's a Word file. Like, if I click on that and I look at it, this is a research paper with, like, chemistry and stuff in it about why bacon smells good and, like, becomes crispy and tasty. So it's science. It has to be true. So I need to present this to another audience, right? Like, not a bunch of chemists, right? Maybe I'm in, I don't know, a youth program of some sort, and I need to explain this in such a way that 10th graders are good with it. You all are in all kinds of different roles, so just work with me here, okay? So the first thing I would do is I would attach the file to my prompt. And then I'm going to ask Copilot, like, hey, I need to create a high school level version of this report. So I'm just going to ask for that. I will be presenting this paper to a high school youth bacon club. That's pretty wild. I need it rewritten at the appropriate grade level. Please review and generate a new copy for me in this chat. So a couple things that I did here is I said in this chat. So I don't want it to generate a Word document. I'll use the Word agent for that if I want to. What I do want it to do is spit everything back out to me and let me see it directly in the flow of my chat. And then I need to separate high school because I can't spell because I'm from Florida. So we'll give this a second, and I just left the model on auto. I didn't pick one. It'll just figure out. what it wants to do. If I wanted a different result, I could try the different models. And I encourage everybody to do that. People ask me frequently, they'll say, well, which one's better? And the answer is, you figure that out. Like, like you try it, and I firmly believe that figuring out which model is better for a task is purely based on your feeling. Like try it, and if 5.3 produces a better result than 5.4, then use 5.3 for whatever that thing is that you're doing. It's up to you to determine what looks better. AI won't tell you, and Joe and Dewayne won't tell you. So try them all. That's one of the cool things about having this capability to be able to pivot really quickly between different models. I think that's nice. Um, so here's our less, PhD level, why is bacon amazing, is because the science behind the sizzle and why are people obsessed and bacon shows up everywhere. And like, this looks a lot better. I could make it a little bit more casual, I would say, if I wanted to. But I think this is pretty neat. Now, what can Beverly do to present this that she couldn't do before these changes were announced? Well, she can actually tag, just like you would tag a colleague, PowerPoint, at PowerPoint. Once you've added the agent, it now becomes eligible for you to be able to tag it in to your conversation. So I'm going to say, hey, yo, PowerPoint, create a fun presentation about the bacon topic above that I can use for my high school club. I did it again. Club presentation. So I'm tagging in PowerPoint, and I was able to pivot really quickly from ideation, which is a big word for me, but I'm going to go back and forth with AI. It's going to help me understand a topic or refine something. And then eventually I need to produce something. We've shown you in the past how to make a page in Copilot Pages to like hold on to stuff. They call that like a durable page, like where it stays there. Now we're getting more sophisticated. I can just say, knock out a PowerPoint presentation. So this will take a minute. It's going to ask me some questions. I'll stall for a little while. Here we go. So here's my question. So what specific aspects of bacon science are you most excited? I'll go chemistry. Oh, wait, I'm going to go all of the above. Those are all fun. What's the main goal? Educate about food science. How long do I want it to be? I'm going to go with detailed. Style. So do I want lots of pictures, a mixture of pictures, no pictures? And then here's one thing that people are going to be like, meh, is you get these 16 templates. Joe, are you proud of me? I did 4 times 4 right there. So I get these 16 templates. I can pick from, any of these. Now, here's the thing. You're not like stuck in this. You are going to be able to edit this presentation. And because this is an agent, you can actually follow up with additional prompts. And we used to call this iterate and regenerate. Like I can iteratively make changes like, hey, now do this. Now add a slide about this. Change the color of the presentation to my university's branding colors and then link the branding page. You will still be able to do stuff like that, but the basis of the deck will be of whatever template you pick from those 16.
I think those templates are important because they've been well designed to work with AI and understand the templating system and the capabilities of the agent. I know often we get questions on, can I use my own template from my university? Those templates sometimes, depending on the quality of them and the way they're designed, could be problematic. So there are some literature from Microsoft on how to design a Copilot, a template that embraces Copilot and ways to make those. So I think down the road, using your own in the future or saying, could you move it over to this? Will, it's probably heading that way. it's not here. Could you take the completed PowerPoint that you're going to have from this? It's going to look really good. Taking those slides and pasting them in as new slides into a template, I think is going to get you pretty far. Where you say, when you paste those slides from one PowerPoint into another PowerPoint that is using your template, just a blank template, and tell it to, take on the template pages, the templated pages for your organization, I think is going to do a pretty good job, because these templates from this service, from this PowerPoint agent, are specifically designed to look good and use the proper parts inside text boxes and things like that.
I dropped some links in the chat. I'll pull them up on the web while we're waiting on this. And this is a realistic, like I'm doing this live, like this is not pre-recorded, guaranteed success. So we'll see how it goes. Let me move over to Nestor here. We'll pull up his screen. So Joe was saying there is an art or a way to make your templates more Copilot compatible. There's a blog here on how to do this. It's actually from a few years ago. And it talks about like your layouts and how you name things and how you provide example slides in the layout. And so you want your layouts, properly named layouts, like that's important. That will help the AI pick the right one for whatever it's trying to do. If you use a lot of like custom crazy stuff, it's gonna have to try to interpret and make a choice. So there's a way to make your layouts more Copilot compatible, or your templates rather, to be more Copilot compatible. I think that's definitely a good thing to do. But these Anthropic powered ones are going to kind of use Anthropic optimized templates. Now you can see this is taking a minute, and that's okay, because this is not something that you would normally just sit here and stare at it. I want you to think about these agents like your own little virtual assistant, and you would delegate something to that virtual assistant and say, hey, can you make this for me? I'm going to come back in like 10, 20 minutes and check on you and see how you're doing. That's how you would treat these. You don't have to sit here and look at it live, even though we are, because, it's kind of fun. But I wanted you to see the whole experience so you would understand what's happening. It's going to be the same experience in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. They're all going to function the same way. So you're going to get a little form, wizard. You're going to do that. You're going to get some results get produced. And then once the initial first draft is created, then you get to follow up on it and make some changes. And then at some point, whenever you're ready, you just take over. You open it up in PowerPoint and start doing your own thing. While I'm waiting on these to render, so this like cotton candy looking swirly stuff here is the slides are like being rendered right now. So it's actually creating the slides. It created a file in my OneDrive and it's starting to populate. So while that's happening, I'm going to tell you a story. I think I've told this story before. If I did, I apologize. I'm repetitive sometimes. I had a really long call with a customer about a really complicated subject. It was like 3.5 hour long consultation. A partner and I, two cloud solution architects, led this call, and we talked about a whole bunch of options for the customer to do. And at the end of the call, the customer said, hey, what would be really cool? Can you send me a PowerPoint presentation at an executive level about everything that we talked about, like all the options you gave us? And could you also, while you're in there making the PowerPoint, could you also make a matrix of like, here's all the options that you provided us, and here's how hard they are, here's how secure they are, here's how they would help or hurt collaboration. Like they gave us all these like domains to measure the options that we were providing them with. And I was like, okay, this is not an easy, quick thing for me to do. So I noodled on it for a little bit, and these agents had just become available to me. And so I took the meeting transcript and I fed it to Copilot, and I said, analyze this meeting transcript, extract the 4 things that we the 4 options that we provided, create a matrix based on Microsoft best practices on how secure it is, how difficult it is to implement, and how whatever the other ones were. And I created a report. And then I took the report and I fed it to the PowerPoint agent. And I said, make me an executive level presentation at a high level, about 10 slides, include these things. I want 1 slide per, thing that we offered, plus a slide after it with a little bit more detail about that thing that we said we would do, and make that PowerPoint for me. And it did. I had to change 1 picture because it did an AI generated picture that was like a diagram that was a little off. It didn't look quite right. So I swapped out that picture and I added 1 bullet point and I sent it to the customer after reviewing it with my colleague. And they were like, "Oh, this is exactly what we wanted." And they did it, and they took it and they presented it to their executive leadership. And that took me 20 minutes instead of like 2 hours to do that. So real world success, I would say. So here's my first draft. It's still going. It's still generating. You see the little stop sign down here. But it took that template. It did. I think it did pretty good. I said, I'm going to embarrass myself. I called this the Maillard effect instead of Maillard effect the other day. Showed off how redneck I am because I'm not sophisticated enough to turn that into a Y. So anyway, but yeah, that's what makes it crispy. And same thing that happens to steak. And talks about that effect. I also learned this word recently for like savory tasting foods. I learned that with Joe when we went on our really long hike, and I was making camping food using AI to help me make my camping food. So this is a pretty good presentation. I might want to change the color of it potentially. So once it finishes doing its stuff, I could follow up and I could say, hey, I want the primary color to be, green and gold. So I work with USF a lot. So can you change the color? Let me see, how would I word this? Theme. Can you change the theme of the slides to match the University of South Florida branding? So we'll see if it can figure that out on its own. It might go hit the web, find their branding, pull their green and gold, and then regenerate the slides for me. So you can see it scrolling around and doing all kinds of stuff. And we'll see what we get. Hopefully it works because I've done this before. But what I have now is I have a file in my OneDrive. So while we're waiting on that, let's go over to Beverly's OneDrive. And you're going to see, let's see, where did it go?
Documents. That's the key.
Yeah, documents.
It gets dropped into documents.
Copilot created. Okay, so you can see I've done this before. So I went to the root of my OneDrive. That's not right. It's in your documents folder. And then you have a new folder called Copilot. And then you have created. And then you would take this and move it wherever you want, just like you would with any other file that you're working with and managing in modern M365 storage. So we're gonna give it a second and see what it can come up with. I don't know if it went out to their website and grabbed their colors or not. Normally I would feed it the website address and say, here's the colors to use. We'll see, but we just hit 3 o'clock. So y'all are welcome to hang out if you want and watch this finish. We will take questions and stuff like that, as well. But I hope that you see some value in these agents. I hope that you play with them. I hope you all went and installed them so that you can use them and try them. And I hope that this makes what's happening on April 15th not seem like a bad thing. It is really about clarity. It's about making things more clear. It's about giving you some new capabilities to offset what's going on. And I think these are a pretty cool offering. So I hope that you play with them and let us know in our chat. Remember, the chat works all year long. So if you do something with one of these agents and it's pretty sweet, take a screenshot or just tell us about it. Use the meeting chat.
The what you've tried here, Dewayne, it has worked before for me. It's pretty slick. Asking it to, I fed it some the color scheme of my university of one of these that completed it and just said, hey, update this to use these. It did a great job of picking what colors should go where for the title text. It changed the barcode or the bar charts
Yep.
colors
Yep.
throughout it, things like that. Currently, one thing I've noticed is that if you leave this session after too long, it kind of forgets that file's there. I it's a, I've encountered that a couple times. So just something to watch out for. I can't narrow that down, but it definitely happens. It feels like trying to come back to this and continue chatting and updating it is just watch out for that. Maybe try to think about everything that you might want to update in one session if you can. You probably could come back, maybe add that file into a new chat and start over, but seems to be kind of get lost there.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a similar thing with a really old chat. Whoa, that's not great from an accessibility standpoint. I would fix that manually. This light green, whatever that is. All right, I'm getting my green. Getting some green and gold in there. I see Go Pack in the chat and Go Bulls.
I think that's
and all that kind of
making some nice changes there, I think. So
yeah. And again, normally you don't just sit here and stare at it. You go find something else to do. Come back and enjoy your bacon PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
So, all right, perfect. Yeah, that's enough that I feel good about it being on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and turn off the recording. And if you want to hang out with us for a little bit and ask questions, Joe and I always block off an extra 30 minutes just to make time for that kind of stuff for the after party. But if you're going to head out, thanks for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you again next month.
Thank you.